Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis. Tonight on Whiskey Business, whiskey royalty in our hearts and minds. Ambassador to Brown Forman, Whiskey Pete Wagner. Tonight on Whiskey Business. Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis, and welcome to Whiskey Business, the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. Last week, we celebrated, well, it was kind of a quiet celebration. We weren't even aware of it, to be honest with you. We took note of the fact that last week was our 200th bottle. As we step into the next 100 bottles, or however many bottles we end up having on this podcast, it seems appropriate to start with 2 bottles as we go.
Can we do 2 bottles for the rest of
2 bottles
the series?
And for those 2 bottles to be from one of my favorite places in the world,
of course,
Jack Daniels.
It's a sprint to 300, right? Is that what you're
It's
saying?
a sprint. Yeah. Well, yeah, we ain't getting any younger. But as you know, here on Whiskey Business, we call it a podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. Topics and guests from A to Z. But whenever we get to a W and get a little whiskey-centric, we get a little excited, much like we are this evening, because our guest is ambassador to Brown Forman, and Brown Forman has under its umbrella, of course, Jack Daniels. His friends and fellow whiskey imbibers call him affectionately Whiskey Pete, but hey, you know what? There are worse things to be called. But Pete Wagner in the house, with us once again,
royalty.
joining us. Yay!
We're gonna have to do a jubilee for him next time he
Right?
comes.
I actually thought about that for an intro. Like, yes, the Queen celebrated a jubilee, but we got whiskey ambassador Pete Wagner.
We couldn't get
on
the
the
Queen.
show.
I too would like Queen to sing for me.
Thank you, man. Thank you for kicking off our next however many bottles as we get into the next.
I love the fact that I'm the first after.
I'm first after, right?
Yes.
You know, it could have been like you could have been like the 200th, but then I knew you were bringing 2.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that you're like you're kicking off the next.
I'm launching your next 200.
Yeah, the next 200,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. And you're launching it with, we're going to talk about him here in a second. Hansberg has to do a little business, but we're launching them with 2 new products from Jack Daniels that have, when I say 2 new products, we're talking about something that hasn't happened in, a quarter of a century?
25 years.
25 years
Wow.
as far as new expressions from Jack Daniels. And we'll find out.
huge.
We'll find out why they felt the need to do this and what they're all about. I'm very excited. I told you in the text message on your way over here. Just in case, here's the address in case I forgot to give it to you. Even though that was just my subtle way of saying, "Are you coming? Are you coming?"
You do have the bottles, right?
We're like kids at Christmas. Is he coming? Is he coming? Yeah, Santa's coming.
Santa's
Santa's
here.
coming, and he's bringing presents. So
Bringing
we're very.
liquor. What if Santa brought liquor for the parents? That'd be nice. Wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Santa
well,
doesn't bring liquor to your house?
Oh man, my Santa screwed me.
I'm sorry.
I know I always woke up and saw empty bottles on Christmas morning. I don't know about anybody else. But thank you, man, for being here. We'll get into all of it in just a moment. Hansberry, a little bit of business before we dig in.
Whiskey Business is the podcast about whiskey, not so much. Wait. Whiskey Business is the podcast with whiskey.
Oh my God.
It's a podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one
With
with
whiskey.
Yeah.
Is that new?
Yeah,
Have we?
yeah,
How long have we
yeah.
been saying that?
Only
200
5
bottles at
years,
least.
5 years, 200
Only
bottles.
200 bottles.
I don't blame you. I really don't. I blame myself. I've to borrow an expression, I've mashed his brain a little bit. I'm sure it's gone a little soft.
I think he just hasn't had any whiskey yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
right.
I need to get
That's
some whiskey
right.
to keep
I
going.
need to get straight. I need to get
That's
right.
not true, kids. Whiskey doesn't make you smarter. It's at least it's not
Obviously.
proven. All right. Well, anyway, Whiskey Business Podcast. Whiskey Business Pod is our website where you can find archived episodes, and I think we're working on a list of all 200 bottles that we've had on the show.
Well,
it's
we're gonna
Dino's scribblings.
We're gonna take a picture of my very detailed computer list of bottles.
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
That I've jotted down.
I've looked at it. I can't even read it.
I'll post those as a picture,
As a
but
picture.
I'll make a list so people could read if they really want to look at it.
Then I'm gonna have to really print one out for you, because you can't read my handwriting. Oh, come on, man.
Give him something to do on the typewriter.
Look, it's horrible. No,
I can try, and then
no.
I'm just gonna take a picture of it.
You'll get frustrated. I'll just type out a nice list for you.
Well, anyway, thank you for subscribing on your favorite podcasting app. Make sure you subscribe and rate and review us, because when you do that, it helps everybody else kind of find us. It makes us look popular. And when we do that, then all the algorithms work in our favor.
Ooh, algorithms.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. You can watch all the unedited versions. So like all that mess up that you just saw me do.
Yep.
John left in the video.
Yeah,
and
John
I made myself, like, I re-recorded this in a nice studio with a big booming voice.
Right.
So it sounded really good.
Why do you fix it when you know he's got when it's out there for
That's
real?
what it's like, a special edition, so you can watch both or listen to both.
I got it.
I think that's about it. Thanks for subscribing, and check out our parent company, Evergreen Podcasts, evergreenpodcast.com.
Yes, thank you, Evergreen, for being our podcast parents, so to speak. All right, I'm very excited about this. If Jack Daniels would have come out with just one of these
Yes.
after 25 years,
Amazing.
I would have been, thrilled beyond belief. But the fact that they bounced out of the gate with two, our guest bottles 201 and 202, are the Jack Daniels Bonded Tennessee Whiskey. All right, there's that one. Okay, all right. And then the other one is the Jack Daniels Triple Mash Blended Straight Whiskey, also bottled in bond.
Also
as
bottled
well.
in bond.
Wow.
So yeah, we're talking both have to be, by law, 100 proof, which harkens back to the days when Jack Daniels had a higher proof, just an everyday higher proof.
Sure.
Back in when I started drinking it, at 14.
21 and over responsibly.
But how exciting. How exciting, and how did it all come to be, and why?
We could not be more excited about this. This is the biggest thing that's hit since I've been with the company. Honestly, we've seen a lot of different things come out, but for Jack Daniels, to your point, come out with not one, but two. And these are permanent line extensions. These are not in an era where there's these limited releases, the unicorns.
Try this, yeah.
All of these things. These are permanent line extensions, and people really have to absorb that. So our current master distiller, Chris Fletcher,
Who's been on the show?
been on this great guy,
Awesome.
just grew up at the distillery. His grandfather was Frank Bobo.
Right.
And I unless you're listening to this, I don't think a lot of people realize that. So he literally grew up there. And he has been part of the Jack Daniels family from the get-go. And one of the things that was really getting under the spur in his saddle, if you will, is the lack of people realizing that Jack Daniels is an ultra premium whiskey. The craft that goes into it, all of the details that go into making it. You jokingly referenced when you were 14, and there's a lot of people who will tell us that
that was no joke.
Don't drink liquor, kids.
I don't think you understand this. It's not a joking podcast. but quite often people will say something that they were underage and they drank too much, or they're 21 and it harkens back to the college years, and they miss the fact that the charcoal mellowing is such an intense, laborious process that actually aids in the process and all of this. So he's getting back to the ultra premium. He's getting back to the craft, and he's getting into the history, and he's showing everyone, he's showing the world what we can do.
Yeah.
sounds exciting.
You definitely, if you want to go back in the archives and actually watch that podcast with him, you'll get the exact sense of what Pete's talking about in respect to how those whiskey genes, so to speak, are definitely in him, and have kind of risen to the occasion as far as Jack Daniels goes. And this, I mean, what I'm even more excited about is I've not had a drop of this yet. I know
That's
it's
exciting.
available as we speak. I know it's out everywhere, but I purposely have not had
wanna
any
try
of
it,
it until I wanted it. So for me, there's my everyday. There's some Jack Daniels green over there.
I was going to say, I walked in here, and as I look around, I see Jack Daniels down here to my left. Jack Daniels behind you. Jack Daniels on the other side.
The carrier, is that right? This is
the cradles.
awesome.
Yeah, the cradles.
The cradles.
This is as close to Jack Daniels on tap as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
That's about it.
He just puts his mouth under there.
But yeah, it's no secret. I mean, I love all whiskeys, bourbons, ryes, scotches. But as far as everyday pours, everybody says, "What's your everyday pour?" I go, "It's Jack Daniels."
If it was good enough for Frank, it's good enough for me.
Right?
I'll say that.
Right?
Obviously, for those of you who don't know, anytime you saw Frank Sinatra on stage, he would have a glass, and it was, what was that? 2 fingers, 3 rocks, and a splash of water. Mm-hmm. Had his own salesman, a guy named Angelo Lucchese.
Yeah.
Everything you would expect from a Sinatra story. When he was buried, he was actually buried with a bottle of Jack Daniels. I find that amazing.
Which expression? I'm curious.
He's wanted to be buried with a bottle of Jack Daniels. I have 2 antique bottles, the big, almost like I Dream of Jeannie type bottles.
Oh, sure.
That I want to be cremated. I want my ashes in those bottles. I want that to be my urn.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then in leftovers.
And then at leftovers, I said, I want people to bring little airplane bottles of Jack Daniels.
Take a scoop.
And distribute them appropriately.
Any additional ashes
Get in line.
could be put in those little bottles. And you can take a little bit of me wherever you go and pour it out wherever you think is appropriate. which would be, I know exactly where it would be appropriate. It would be on my plot of land that I have in Lynchburg as a Tennessee squire. That should fill it up just perfectly.
I was going to say that's a squire flex. I haven't heard that in a while. Dino with the squire flex.
Okay, so
cheers to that.
We're gonna try which one first.
We're going to do the Jack Daniels bonded.
That seems fair and right. So
I think
that glass is for the gentleman behind the curtain. Jeff Fulham's back there if he wants a little taste of his own stuff.
The brains behind the operation.
The brains. There's always the man behind the curtain. Hey, Jeff. Thank you, by the way, for putting all this together again. I mean, Jeff is our pal. I mean, he's been so kind and so generous over the years with guests and bottles. And was it Jeff? Was it you that brought me the Christmas sweater? We were debating that. It was. Yeah, it was you that brought the Christmas sweater.
Jack Daniels ugly Christmas sweater.
Oh yeah,
and,
it is the most ugliest, beautiful thing I've ever had on
awesome.
me. Yeah, it's great.
The most beautiful, ugly thing.
The most beautiful, ugly thing. Okay. What I can tell already from the nose is that if you are a fan of Jack Daniels, this isn't some new crazy path that's going to lead you down. There's a lot of familiar things in this already.
Intentionally. Absolutely.
Yeah, right? So.
And that's exactly what this is. This is Jack Daniels following the bottle and bond rules.
Wow, that is really smooth, man.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't take a lot for me to shut up.
No.
But when you all are trying something, I want those sounds.
Yeah,
I want
really nice.
those sound effects.
You want to hear those. And here's the good news. I mean, I'll remind you of this later on. These, you think, oh, Jack Daniels, they got a bottle and bond and triple mash. They're probably going to charge, out the butt for it. No. These bottles are extremely reasonable.
Sure, they're in the lower 30s.
Yeah, I've seen between $29.99 and $32.99, and maybe a few dollars more here or there, depending on where you're at and where you're getting them. But I mean, come on.
This is
for bottled and bond
the best bang for your buck right now, especially for a new item. Jack Daniels fans are going to lose their mind over this. People who are into whiskey drinkers. Mm-hmm. I always say there's people who collect bottles and just put them on the shelves, and then there's people who drink whiskey. And the whiskey drinkers are going to lose their mind over this because this is everything that you know about Jack Daniels turned up. This is all of the flavors. You get that mellowness, that charcoal mellowing. This is so smooth, so rounded.
Yeah, rounded. That's a good word. Like the very middle of it was complex. You think of like these micro distilleries doing all this, add this, and this, and this.
Right.
This had a really interesting flavor. It was
well,
great.
There's definitely a sense and taste of familiarity, and yet there's just a little something.
Little extra
love.
That's what I'm getting at.
It might be in the finish because the finish is really nice and long.
Yeah. the rye comes through
Maybe
a
that's
good
it.
amount too. To have something that's rounded and to have rye, and to think about bottle and bonds. A lot of bottle and bonds that are out there are just a huge one-trick pony. It's 100 proof and it's a lot.
Right.
And you're seeing more and more of these on the shelves right now. I have what I call my hot sauce theory. People, depending on where you are in the United States, the bourbon trend's been going on for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And are you guys fans of hot sauce?
Yeah.
You like hot sauce? Sure. Right? You start off with Tabasco, and if you like
Right.
I love
Tabasco,
it.
keep going. That's aged in Jack barrels. That's true. Right? You start off with Tabasco, you move on to Sriracha, Habanero. Point is, your palate acclimates.
Right.
So the bourbon drinkers will start off with something lighter, more approachable, like a Gentleman Jack. But then you want more. You want more. And then as you go, it builds up. And to be able to get 100% or a 100 proof, whiskey that's still rounded to get the complexity. A lot of people forget that this is one of the original craft distilleries.
Right.
We've been craft distilling for 150 years.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, for the people in the podcast, we're doing the air quotes with the crap. We don't have, we have nothing against you, but
I mean, these guys got 150 years on you,
Right.
So, you know.
So what is the bill? 80% corn, 12% malted barley, and 8% rye. Is that what
it follows the same
Yeah.
percentages as
Right.
regular Jack Daniels.
As regular Jack.
And then obviously being a bottle and bond, it follows all of the bottle and bond rules
You
from
must
1897.
follow all the rules.
so it's
Yes.
distilled by a single distiller
Yep.
Yeah.
during a single season,
Yep.
Right.
and matured in a government bonded warehouse.
That's right. Remember I said that's always when I really retire, that's what I want to do for my retirement job is to be a guard at the
Security at the
security.
barrel
Yeah,
house.
That's what I want.
Are they armed? I'm curious.
That's I'm not sure that's necessary, but it sure as heck beats a Walmart greeter.
Right,
doesn't
right.
it?
Yeah,
I'm gonna take if I'm gonna be standing in front of a building, let it be that one.
You could
Yeah,
be. I
right.
like that. You could be a Walmart greeter at the distiller, the warehouse there. You
Dude,
can wear a
don't
little
think
vest and
don't
shake
think
people's
as
hands.
I get older and as many times as I've been down there that that I haven't thought about taking my plot of land out. I'm gonna Squire Flex again. Finding some land down in Tennessee and actually finishing out my golden years down there. There'd be worse ways to go.
It is beautiful.
It
down
is.
there.
It
And I'll
really
tell
is.
you what, if anybody else out there gets the chance to go visit the distillery, it's so warm and welcoming. I just never met a nicer group of people.
You guys want to go sometime? You want to go?
Yeah, we
you
should.
wanna
Yeah.
go?
I've never been to that.
You never
one.
been to that
I've
one?
never been to Jack.
Not to Jack.
I want to
no.
see your plot of land.
Yeah.
Bring a flower.
That's
Cemetery.
That'll take too much space.
I was gonna say it's a square inch, right? But yeah, this follows all the rules of being a bottle and bond. It's one distiller, it's one season, it's from one distillery, it's in a bonded warehouse, and it's
4
it's-
years and 100 proof.
Yep, and 100 proof.
I just read the
So,
side of the
I
bottle.
mean-
That's the only reason I knew that.
And when you said this isn't a one and done, this is a permanent part of the Jack Daniels.
So you're going to be seeing a few things come from Chris Fletcher. He has a lot lined up, and the first two things that you're going to see are these. It's part of the bottle and bond, and this is not. I will kind of give you a lead in. This will not be the end of the bottle and bond series either.
Oh, nice.
So there's more to come if you enjoyed this.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Because there's been a lot of special bottles. There's been the Master Distiller series.
Sure.
And there's a Sinatra Select.
Yep.
And,
We had Coy Hill a little while back.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you got all that. By the way,
That's a mouthful.
I got a taste of that down in Florida. My brother-in-law had it. Who,
That's a good brother-in-law.
yeah, he is. Who normally isn't a Jack Daniels person,
Sure.
but he said that was one of his favorite whiskeys that he's had in a long time.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I love it. Part of the reason why I have the position I do is because I just love whiskey. I'll try any sort of whiskey, and some of these are delicious treats. And You're about to get one here shortly.
This is one of them.
Now, it says at least 4 years. Is this 4 years, or is it more? Or are you allowed to reveal the
Well, down at Jack Daniels, we don't plant fruit trees and pull the fruit in 4 months. We wait until it's ready.
That's right.
So,
when it's ready, it's ready.
it's ready. It's ready. That's why we have teams of tasters that go through. They do cross segments out of the barrel houses, and they'll sample through them.
Cool.
So, but we're looking at roughly between 4 to 5 years.
And then on the front here, it also says aged in select barrels.
Yes.
How did you select
So-
those barrels?
So what they are doing is when they go through, they have the certain bottles that they know that they're going to pull from. They're bottle and bond barrels. Obviously,
right.
they have to have it to follow all those requirements. And then they're pulling the honey barrels out of those. They're pulling the best of the best. They're looking for ones with darker, more amber colors to them. They're also looking for ones with bigger, bolder flavor profiles, things that have a lot of that oak note to it. Yeah. They want it. They want the best for this. And
How
that's
do
what
they
they're-
test that ahead of time? How do they do that?
Teams of testers.
Oh,
we have groups of people that will sample through. Like
All
I
right,
said, they'll take cross
I
segments.
take it back. I don't want to be a security guard. I want to be a tester.
tester.
That's the best.
Well, isn't that kind of the whole thing? Is you could be a
You know
tester
what?
whenever
I can,
you're
you
off
know
duty.
what? I don't sleep. I don't sleep. I
Right.
can test during the day and guard at night.
There you go.
There you go. I could double dip.
Yeah. So and you may or may not have noticed too. So they're pulling from the best, but how about that bottle?
Yeah,
What do
it's
you
a
guys
beautiful
think
bottle.
about that?
Again, it's familiar but different.
Familiar but different. You'll notice it has the raised lettering. That's
Yes.
all based off of a historical bottle from 1895. One of the original bottles. If for all those with the interweb out there, Google it and you can see the original bottle. And so they've spared no expense to create this gorgeous bottle. Yeah. But I want to see if you notice anything about that bottle. Go ahead and look at those. Pick that up. Tell me if you notice anything different about that.
Either one.
Yeah, sure.
There's some weight to it for starters.
Yeah. Good, healthy bottle.
Well, I know
about
the
design or
the
what?
design. This right here is.
Yep, the neck has the wider neck to it for the cyclonic pull. But how about the size?
Oh, yeah.
It's 700 milliliters. How about that? Isn't that interesting?
Size does matter.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I hear.
In this case,
That's what she said.
in this case, there was a lot of thought put behind that. It's 700 because, believe it or not, that's international size.
I like
Oh,
the
wow,
tactical.
okay.
Yeah,
tactical
and
feel-
right now,
tactile
if there's
feel.
one thing
So
that people
how they getting away with selling it? Look, now I'm saying it. How they getting away for selling it for so cheap? Because now it's a bargain,
Right.
That's a real bargain.
That's it. Jack Daniels likes to take care of its drinkers. That's the thing. The consumers are number one for Jack Daniels. And this is something easily that we could have put in the $50+ range. Easily.
I mean, just based on the taste of the first one.
Yeah. But they chose to put it in a 700 milliliter bottle because that's international size. And the big buzzword right now, if you go out and you see all the increased prices and everybody is trying to compensate, but supply chain issues.
Right.
And the vast majority of our glass all comes from here in Ohio at the Owens, Illinois plant
Oh,
in
that's
Zanesville,
interesting.
Ohio.
That's cool.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why people will tell me, yeah, I drink local, I support local, and I'm all for supporting local and all that. But honestly, you're supporting local by doing a shot of Jack Daniels. Not only does the vast majority of the glass comes from there, but one of our stave mills is down in Jackson, Ohio. So, but it's 700 because they would have to convert. They would do the American, the 750s, and then they would have to convert and do the overseas size. And as opposed to doing that, we went straight to the 700 to get the juice in people's mouths.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's very nice.
I found that interesting.
It is
And we are,
interesting.
and these bottles are two of the first in Ohio to do that.
Oh, wow.
So that's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's smart. I mean, it's smart. It's economic. It's working smarter, not harder, as
That's
they
it.
say.
Yeah.
That's it.
These have been out for a couple weeks now, right?
This has only been out since last week.
Last
Oh,
week.
cool.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, by the time this podcast drops
Be a
next to
couple
this
weeks,
podcast,
yeah.
will
Yes.
drop, it'll be a couple weeks. So yeah.
There we go.
So yeah, it's still new. A friend of mine texted me and said that he had picked up a bottle of the Bonded. And I said they're coming on the podcast Monday. I said, first of all, I said jealous. Secondly, they're coming on the podcast Monday. So
Yeah.
Ha, I win.
I'm drinking with the team.
Right.
Take that.
Okay.
He doesn't know about the bottle.
We're gonna revisit all the way around here again. And before it's all said and done, now that you mentioned the bottles, I'm gonna show you some of the old bottles that I do have, since you seem to.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and one of them is actually back there and signed. I'll get it in a second, but that's not the one I want my ashes in. I got the one in there with my ashes. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one. Maybe I don't know.
Is it full or just
No, it's empty. It's empty, but it's just a classic, and it's signed. You tell. Maybe you or Jeff can tell me if I have anything of significance.
Sure.
I know that Chris, when he was here, looked at my original proof Jack Daniels up there. See the one on the far left?
Yeah.
That bottle. That's the old proof bottle.
Was it
That's
91
from my uncle's. That's from my uncle's wedding a bunch of years ago.
That's still sealed.
It's still sealed. It's not open. And he looked at the bottom, and he said that was one. I believe he said that was one of his grandfathers. That was one of his Bobo's bottles from back in the day. So that was kind of cool.
That's cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, right?
To have the master distiller himself come in and say, "You've got a gem."
Yeah, you got one of my grandfather's bottles.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's my Uncle Chris's bottle.
It's my bottle. Stop looking.
It's from his wedding. But I always said that I would keep it sealed until the sad day that my uncle were to, he's not in any danger of dying, but
That's a
when
good way
he
to
did
honor
that,
his
that's
memory.
when I would honor his memory by cracking
That's
that
a good
bottle.
idea.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so that one gets saved. All right, now I'm excited about this. When I first heard that this was coming out, I went like, that's like whiskey science fiction. It's like what mad scientist in the laboratory first we'll create a triple mash blended whiskey and Jack Daniels. We'll rule the world. So tell me a little bit about this one.
Triple mash. Triple mash is exactly that. It's actually 3 whiskeys in one. That's the fun part about this.
Madness, I say.
Madness. We watch what you wish for. It looks like it might thunderstorm any second now. It is 60% Jack Daniels rye, 20% Jack Daniels black label, but all at bottle and bonded rules. And then here's the fun part: 20% single malt.
I know.
Single malt. When they first told me this, before I got my lips on this bottle, I said, "So wait a second, Jack's making a single malt?
Yeah,
Just to mix it with this.
Just for this?
just for that, and and is that? Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Good, continue.
It's like a kid in a candy store.
No, that's essentially it. We've taken the 3 different whiskeys, we've aged them separately, following all the rules of bottle and bond. Picked the honey barrels, so you can imagine Jack Daniels currently has 90 barrel houses.
Oh yeah,
90. I always smile when I say this because I have kids that need to go to college, right?
Yeah.
90 barrel houses, roughly 1 million gallons inside each one. 90 million gallons aging, not on the shelves.
Yeah.
They're taking all of those and they're whittling down to the ones that are following bottle and bond. And then they're taking those and pulling out the honey barrels. And out of those, then they're starting to marry them together at those proportions.
So a bonded question: after they've been aged, in the bonded restrictions, you can mix them at that point, and it still remains a bonded whiskey.
Yeah. The vast majority of barrel houses, a lot of whiskeys essentially follow the Bottle and Bond Act.
Got it.
Just by proxy. All barrel
By
houses
default.
nowadays are bonded warehouses. So to be able to do that, it's the at least 4 years. It's the 100 proof. It's all of those other attributes.
Sure.
The one distillery, one master distiller. That's where it gets complex.
Yeah, it's smart. If it actually is bottled and bond, smack it on the label. People respond to that.
Sure.
People respond to it. Now pour.
Get to pouring.
I'll stop asking questions.
No, my question was, the Jack Daniels, make a single malt now. Since they went ahead and did that, is that something that might show up all on its lonesome, or is that information that can't be shared at the moment?
I will say 2 things. I will say I have seen nothing.
I see nothing.
I see nothing.
I hear nothing.
To the same point, you never know.
Yeah, right?
You never know. There's a lot coming down the pike, and there's a lot of history in whiskey that still hasn't been explored. And what a better place than Jack Daniels in Lynchburg to do it.
I'm picking up I'm picking up honey on the nose already.
I love the fact that they led with the rye, a 60% rye, because rye.
Oh, hello,
Here comes Jeff. He wants
give
a
the
splash.
man, give the man a splash. Yes, yeah, me too. And that's interesting too. I mean, that's a rabbit hole I could go down. But the progression of Jack Daniels and their rye products.
Yeah.
You know, how those have went from good and like, you know, I'll you know, I don't want to sound like I'm just kissing Jack Daniels, but I wasn't that crazy about the first expression of rye that came out.
Okay.
But then it was good, but it was like, oh, you know, but then it kept getting better and
Sure.
better and better. And now, you know, I have some of the single barrel rye that is just, that's special rye. You know, I'll drink it, but I won't drink it with anybody or just for any reason.
It's exciting because a lot of people will just blast you with rye. Rye is a spice grain, so they'll just blow it out, and they want you to get that dingle, that spice.
That funkiness.
That
I like
funk,
to say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but rye is a beautiful grain where you can get fruit floral notes from it. You can get the spice from it. It's a very complex grain if used properly, and I think Jack Daniels is a great place to get into ryes because what other ryes do charcoal mellowing?
Right.
You know, by dripping it through that 10 feet of charcoal, you're getting rid of some of those bitter notes that you find in the husk of that grain. That's beautiful. And to be able to have the Jack Daniels yeast strain that notoriously gives off those fruit floral notes, those tropical fruit notes, you know, that banana profile that people refer to. Right?
I'm going to try it.
Yeah, I did. I'm drinking it right now.
Cheers. Here we go. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers. This is how can I find the right words for this? Is like I said, I could smell the honey and I could definitely taste honey in this.
Yeah, stuff's so
Am I
sweet.
crazy?
No?
Yeah.
Well, yes, but not in this case.
Yeah. I mean, no. In respect to
It's
the honey,
completely different than the other one.
well, it's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely. That's what I'm saying. There's like, as well, there should be a lot going on. It's a triple mash.
Real
I mean,
creamy. Real creamy.
Isn't that fun?
creamy's a good
Yeah.
word. Smooth.
Creamy, soft, smooth. I get tropical fruit notes out of it. That yeast strain starting to come through and pulling those notes out of the rye.
I do like the fact that it's rye intensive because,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm a big rye fan.
And you do get the spice on it. It's soft, but there's spice, and I feel like I'm almost lying to myself in the process. But
Yeah.
you're getting both.
And the finish is nice and smooth. There's
Nice and
barely
smooth,
anything there.
Yeah,
as far
and
as
long though.
And here's where I
Long again.
remind you that that's 100 proof. That's
right,
a lot of
exactly
vodka.
right. Yeah.
Right.
So that's one thing that I think needs to be reminded in the process. Like this is a big whiskey that drinks very delicate and complex.
If you could put cake in a bottle,
Okay.
okay, if you could
This
put
is it.
cake in a bottle, yeah, that's how many different flavor profiles are coming at me with this. Like a big,
It's really
delicious, smooth, moist cake that I would definitely want another piece
With
of
the-
when
with-
I got done with it.
A little ice cream on the side.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm telling you, it's
Pistachio ice cream.
Yeah.
and then and this is a scary one too because then you forget that both of these, as delicious as they are 100 proof. So
Yeah.
you know.
We
The
call
only
those
reason-
sneaky peeks.
Yeah,
Sneaky-
yeah.
sneaky ones.
The only reason I know this is 100 proof because I bit my tongue earlier and it's like burning right there. That's the only reason. I gotta cut my mouth. That's the only reason I could tell.
That burning is healing.
Right? Yeah.
My go-to bar, Coach's here in town.
Sure.
The owner was saying, I was telling that you guys were coming on tonight. He goes, yeah, I heard about it. He goes, you let me know, and I'll order it up. And I said, I got a funny feeling you're going to be ordering it up, but okay, yeah, I'll wait for the podcast tonight. So, he's waiting to place an order.
I think it's safe to say, order it up.
Order it up.
Order it up.
And again, I don't want to. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but
please.
but I'm kind of agreeing with what you said earlier. Jack Daniels. Oh, I had that when I was in college. But this is one of the most complex, flavorful whiskeys I've had in a while. It's really good.
And that's one thing that happens to me frequently. Obviously, when they call you Whiskey Pete, you go up for the past 13 years.
What's your favorite whiskey, man?
Yeah. Or I'll bring up that I represent Jack Daniels, and they're like, "That's not bourbon."
Right.
That's not true. That's not true.
Actually, it is bourbon.
Yeah.
They just prefer to call it Tennessee whiskey.
They like the provenance of being called Tennessee to help describe the. Wasn't that a good word?
That's a great word. I was like, I'm making. Well, I would expect that with a guy who's got the fancy little kerchief in the.
I come from a family of lawyers. I thought the world had enough lawyers, so I just keep the hobbies of lawyers.
Oh, so you're the white sheep of the family.
That's it.
Who gave you who first called you Whiskey Pete?
Oh, it's a gentleman. You may or may not know him. His name's Max Eckenweiler. He used to be with Ohio Tavern News.
Yeah.
Do you remember Max? Good guy.
We had him on earlier in
long
the series. Yeah.
Max has been on the show.
He was
a long time ago.
Interviewing me about 10, 11 years ago, maybe even 12, and we were up at 16-bit, and nothing more interesting than having cocktails and playing Rampage while being interviewed.
Right.
Classic. And he was joking about the fact that I've had, with a name like Pete, people tack things on. In 1990, I had a radio show, and they called me Party Pete. Party Pete on 93Q.
No, you did radio.
Oh, yeah. And then,
it makes sense. He's got a good voice.
Yeah.
Way better than mine.
I've been listening. I was like, he sounds really good on this mic. Yeah.
Pod down.
Yeah.
But then in 93, I did an internship at Disney World. And as part of that internship, they made me work the Jungle Cruise, and they called me Jungle Pete.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Every time I tell these stories, I feel bad for all the people that ask for an autograph. They're like, "What's a Jungle Pete, Dad?" And I was telling them, I'm like, with a name like Pete, people tack things on.
Sure.
And he showed up at my house like 3 days later with a stack of papers. He's like, page 3. And I'm like, "Yeah, Pete Wagner." "Okay, Pete Wagner." He's like, "Read it again." It's like, Whiskey Pete Wagner. Oh, I see what you did there. I said, "You're going to call me names? I'm going to make $1 doing it." And here we are. That was, 10, 12 years ago?
It's a good name.
It works.
I mean,
people don't remember Pete Wagner. People remember the Whiskey Pete part.
Yeah,
Right?
Whiskey Pete, yeah.
We saw Jeff at an event not so long ago. He goes, "I'm going to get Whiskey Pete." I go, "Whiskey Pete." All right. Yeah. All right.
I mean, there could be a lot worse things in front of Pete. Let's be honest with you.
Sure. Yeah. The joke is, I've been married for 25 years. I've been called a lot worse than that.
Oh, man. The triple mash and the bottled and bond. And again, I will remind you that these are here to stay. And I'm curious about Chris.
Yeah.
Because he's still a young man.
Yeah.
And when you think about
very young.
distiller ages and years,
yeah.
and as far as how old they are and how long, I know he's got the heritage and the lineage and so forth, but was he nervous when these two expressions came out and were ready to go? I mean, was he?
Think about it. One of the biggest launches that you've seen in over 2 decades, right? I'm sure there was a certain level, but if he sat right where I'm sitting right now. Mm-hmm. He knows what he's doing. He's got the experience, right?
He was talking science with us. I was I'm a little lost, but keep going.
And that's it. Yeah, there's a lot of head nodding when he starts talking. Yeah. Not only is he the whip, he's smart. He knows exactly what he's talking about. He's got the craft, and he sees the future. And that's something that you don't see with a lot of these distillers. A lot of these distillers will look towards the past and not towards the future. What haven't we done yet? What can we do? And that's what we're looking at right now with Jack Daniels. We're honoring the heritage again,
which is kind of looking at the past.
It's respecting the past, and carrying it forward.
Awesome. Carrying it forward. That's the best of both worlds.
It's just he's very impressive. He's certainly earned his stripes.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about this product. I mean, I have another one.
Yeah.
You can have another one. Why don't you guys pour another one? I'm going to grab the little, just for historic purposes, I'm going to grab these bottles, and maybe you could tell me something about them. Maybe you can. I don't know. Or if nothing else, you could just admire them. Maybe Jeff back there would know. But this is the first one.
Let's see what he's pulling out here. This would be a good opportunity for you to check out Whiskey Business on YouTube.
That's right.
Well,
Whiskey
YouTube.
Business with Dino Tripodis
That's right.
on
You can
YouTube.
see the video.
Signed.
Jimmy Bedford.
Yeah. And there's this old number 1. Anybody?
Hold it up to the
Yeah, hold it up to the camera.
camera.
So, the camera
So,
can see it.
I mean, the bottle was special enough already to be in this wooden coffin.
Is this the one that you're going to be?
Nope.
Okay. You referenced it as a wooden coffin. I was
Well,
like,
yeah, that's true. That's good. That's a good point, Hansberry. I've put on weight since I've gotten this, so I think I'm going to need the bigger bottle as far as my ashes are concerned.
175, please.
So any I don't know what the history would be on that one or not. I'm going to disappear again while you guys are mixing it
What's the?
over.
Is that wood? I mean, it looks. Yeah, that's like
it
a
has
nice
a wood cork
wood
closure.
cork,
This is
yeah.
from 94.
It's a nice wood cork.
1994, bottled at 94 proof.
Is it like
a single
a
barrel?
Jack Daniel's gold leaf signature of some kind?
Yeah, it's a limited edition.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one great thing about Jack Daniel's is it knows how to take care of its fans, and there's
Yeah.
no greater fans than Jack Daniel's
yeah.
fans. They say that filigree is one of the most heavily recognized things in culture. They're talking about the golden arches and the Coca-Cola
swoosh,
swoop,
yeah,
the
yeah,
Nike
yeah.
swoosh,
Yeah.
but the filigree for Jack Daniel's. And if there's one thing that they've done over the years, it's take care of the people.
I had a Leonard Skinner shirt that had the same.
The filigree?
Yeah, that's that. What is that? What you call that?
Yeah.
There's this one. This is
Oh, that'll hold you.
that'll hold me. That's an old 90 proof bottle as well.
How old is that, you think? What year?
Well, it's 90 proof, so that it held 90 proof whiskey. So, and
Yeah, and they do look like a genie bottle, big
It
at the
does.
base, a little cork top.
This one's crazy right
this
here.
one,
Oh my
and
gosh.
this is a beautiful one too.
These are the old decanters. These
Yeah.
were popular back in the
Well, I remember
40s,
they-
50s, and 60s.
Yeah, they have bottles on display down at the distillery.
yeah.
And I was looking, I go, I think I got some of those.
So that wouldn't be shipped with booze in it. It would be, you would buy that to put your whiskey in.
No, these would typically come with the booze in.
Yeah,
it.
see
Really?
on the label there on the corner
Yeah,
around
that's
it.
why it still has the labeling on it. And this, if you look, still has the government seal with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was, like I said, it was very popular back in the day. One of the very first whiskeys to do it was Old Forester, believe it
Yeah.
or not. And if you look through their library or go to their distillery, you will see just a whole series of decanters that are just gorgeous. There was one that looked like a lava lamp, large, and it was just sort of
okay.
part of the series at the time.
This apparently somebody by the name of Mr. Willis. I never even knew this was in here. This was a letter to how about this for weird? Mr. Pete Willis
There we go.
Yeah.
of Grove City, Ohio.
Wow. The top of this cork has like a steamboat wheel on it.
That's interesting.
That's kind of cool.
Like a ferry or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
It's like a steamboat.
What's this?
This is Mr. Jack's second
there.
gold medal by introducing the 1905 Liege, Belgium gold medal bottle. This 750 millimeter decanter is filled with our premium Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey bottle at 90 proof. We've attached the medallion to the front of the glass, which is a replica of the gold medal won in 1905. Okay, all right. This is second in a series of honoring the gold medals that Mr. Jack and his whiskey have won. And I don't know why. Jim Bedford was the master distiller at this particular time. This is November 20th, 1997.
There we go.
Okay, so kind of cool.
That's a That's a keeper, and keep that letter with it.
Yeah, the letter. I you know what? I never even knew that the letter was in there because I always open up the bottle and it was underneath the bottle. I just opened it up.
Provenance? Is that what that's called?
Provenance.
So that's kind of cool. And this guy's from Grove City, Ohio. So I don't know if Mr. Pete Willis is still with us, but dude, I got your bottle.
Hey, Pete, reach out. That'd be
No,
interesting.
He's on Facebook.
You can't have it back.
No. That was given to me as a gift from somebody who picked it up at an antique store somewhere and then gave it to me. And I can't tell you where I picked up those two bottles.
Yeah, those
but
are
they're
really
cool. You gotta admit, they're cool.
They're beautiful.
They're awesome.
They're beautiful.
And which I'm thinking that one for my ashes, right? That one seems a little wider.
Either one.
Both.
They're both. They're
both
both
probably about the same,
175s,
right?
probably.
Is that tacky? To
What?
put my ashes in a Jack Daniels bottle?
No.
Depends.
I mean, I'm putting that as a well. You come from a family of lawyers. What is it when you actually specify something exactly needs to be followed in your will as you wrote it?
Oh, that's why I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
You know when you go to
I'm
like,
putting it in there.
yeah, you
Well,
go
if
to
it's
like
in
the
there, they have to follow
festivals,
it.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a legal document.
and they have those like you get the kids and they always want to buy like the colored sand bottle.
Yeah.
You know, like with that's what you should do. Get your ashes to be multicolored.
Add some
and then-
color.
That's right, yeah.
You could like make
Make it look
stripes
like a
and-
sunset.
Yeah, that's it.
I think with all the whiskey I've consumed over the years, I think my ashes are going to be brown.
Yeah. So it looks
Somewhat
like a bottle of
flammable.
whiskey.
yeah, exactly. All right, let me put these back in the safe places before
I knock them over.
Yeah, right.
I'm not even touching them.
There we go. So yeah, they got weight to them. They're cool. I love these. I love all of it. I love everything.
And that's why I was picking it up and looking at it. I was trying to see if those were from the OI plant. That just
Oh, in Ohio?
yeah, over in Zanesville. Just those boys over there are just putting out. Well, I used to do Ducks Unlimited events because we do Jack Daniels. We have commemorative Ducks Unlimited single barrel bottles, and I would go all over the state. And Zanesville was a fun one because you would walk up and you would go to pour one. And I would specifically take the single barrels, and they would. I made this. They would hold it and have such pride, and they're like, "This is my bottle."
Cool.
And I'm like, "That's cool ownership,
Yeah.
right?"
You hinted earlier in the podcast that this is not the one and done.
Yeah.
As far as bottled and bond.
Right.
Is there anything that you could give our viewers and listeners a heads up on that could be an exclude? If not, that's fine. I understand the privacy laws and everything like that in respects to whiskey. But is there anything that you could give the whiskey business fans a little heads up on that maybe nobody else
sneak
might
peek,
know?
Yeah. Sneaky Pete.
Sneaky
peek.
Pete. That might be a new segment. Did you see me look back at the boss behind me?
Yeah.
He goes, I will just say, I'll say this. There are different attributes that can be brought out of a barrel of whiskey, right?
Right.
Sometimes it could be, the grains. Other times it could be the oak.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes that oak could be toasted.
Okay.
So there's different things that people are
flavor.
looking for.
I think
And
about certain bourbons that I've had that have been toasted.
More and more body to it. So they're looking for ways to bring out more body. And it's going to be delicious. It's going to be big. It's going to fall right in line. You've got, with the regular bottle and bond, with the bonded here, you've got Jack Daniels on steroids.
Yeah.
With the triple mash, you've got this elegant dance between three different whiskeys. And I can promise you the next one's going to be just as complex, and it's going to have a whole lot to it.
I love it.
Are you going to come back and talk about them
I
when
would
they
love-
come out?
I'm gonna try to get here on day one. How about that? I'll have my Santa hat on.
Yeah. Oh,
A Christmas release.
Oh, he's giving another clue.
Santa hat on. No, he's probably, or that he's making reference to the fact that I said that Santa's coming to bring
All
us
right.
presents.
Or he just likes to
Or-
wear Santa hats.
Maybe he does. Maybe he's that kind of a guy.
March, whatever.
Whiskey Pete, Santa Pete, who knows? Every Thanksgiving, he's got a pilgrim hat on. Maybe just like hats.
I'm a man with
like hats.
I'm a man who likes hats.
You know,
I have
we'll
discerning
start talking
tastes.
about it like he's not in the room.
Yeah. Anyway, did you see?
Hey guys. No, we're super excited about this. I mean, honestly, to have this after 20 plus years, this is the biggest launch. I mean, we're talking about putting into market the same numbers as the single barrels Gentleman Jack combined. We're so excited. We're putting so much out, and we're excited to see what people think about this.
Well, if this little trio is any
Yeah, they're gonna love it.
indication, yay.
Yeah, you
We're
don't want to
excited.
mix this with Diet Coke.
Nope.
Let's just leave it there.
Shut up.
But
How dare you?
That's what I'm saying.
But if you want to,
But you could.
you could.
Just buy another one. Buy two. One for a Coke and one to enjoy the.
You could do whatever you want.
Complexities.
I mean, let's face it. Jack and Coke is one of the most popular.
Right, that's what I'm
mixed drinks
saying.
in
You
the
don't have
world.
like this. You
For a
don't need
reason.
It,
For a
'cause this is
reason.
So.
But we'll then just do it with the regular Jack. That's fine.
That's what I'm saying.
But not this one.
whenever I do a tasting, I always tell them three things. I said a good whiskey's nothing more than a whiskey you like. We all have different tastes, right? The right way to drink whiskey is however you're like. You're the one paying the bill. And price for American whiskeys is somewhat arbitrary. So there's some delicious, inexpensive bourbons and Tennessee whiskeys. There's some really not so pleasant ones that are higher priced.
Right.
Yeah.
It all comes down to what you like. So
And that's the other thing I want to hit again is the price point on these bottles. I've seen them range between $29.99 and $32.99. That's incredibly reasonable for the Jack Daniel's consumer or any consumer for that matter. Those are great price points. That's a gift in its own,
yes.
especially in these inflationary times.
Well, that's the one thing that really blew me away with the price point was everybody's so acclimated to paying higher prices right now. And for Jack Daniel's to come out with not one but two brand new products and keep it at that approachable price point, that's a gift. They didn't have to do that.
No, they didn't.
So-
They could, like you said, they could have easily bumped this up a bit, and they did not. And for that, and that alone, aside from the fact that they're both delicious and amazingly great, that also, once again, I tip my hat to the company that doesn't forget where they came from, and obviously has a very strong sense of where they're going to keep going. Whiskey Pete Wagner, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you being here
pleasure.
today. I will hold you to that when the new products start to come up. Please, if you want to do a day one stop here, our doors are open.
here.
Yeah, I mean, I've met a lot of great people at Brown Forman in general over the years, and I met a lot of great people through Jack Daniel's. The man behind the curtain over there, Jeff, being one of them, has just been, again, thank you, buddy.
Jeff.
You've been a whiskey pal from the get go, and so if we can do anything in our small way, I know we're just a little tiny podcast. What's going on there?
My sister keeps calling me.
Well, tell her to stop calling you.
I don't know what she's doing.
calling you or us.
I heard Whiskey Pete's there.
That's right. It's all the talk. Word's out. But thank you. Once again, the guest bottles. The Jack Daniel's Bonded, Bottle and Bond. The Jack Daniel's Triple Mash. Available wherever you get your favorite Jack Daniel's products and ain't going anywhere. So, I'm not saying you have to rush out to get it, but you should rush out to get it because they're good, but they're not going to disappear.
This would be good for 4th of July parties. These are
These
Perfect.
these are, you know what, if it doesn't thunderstorm and rain again, I'll be sitting on the front porch, assuming that these are staying. I shouldn't make that assumption. I don't mean to.
He's got other podcasts to do.
I was going to say, was that the official nudge?
I don't
know what that was.
Assuming that the bottles are staying put, I didn't want to. I don't want to assume. I'm sure you have another podcast to get to with the rest of these, but on the chance that they do,
Just in case.
Pete, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I really do.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
A treat.
My name is Dino Tripodis. Many thanks to Greg Hansberry on the audio
Thank you,
side.
guys. Cheers.
John Whitney on the video side. Me on the hosting side. My name is Dino Tripodis. Until the next bottle or bottles, Here we come, 203.
Nice.
Yeah.
Woo.
See ya.